Welcome back. The arrival of the indentured Indian labourers in the 1860s and the subsequent expansion of the sugar industry saw the birth of the Felixton Hindu community in the KwaZulu-Natal North Coast. The sugar estates became home to the labourers and also home to a tradition that was thousands of years old. Felixton became the abode of Lord Shiva and the Divine Mother, whose worship still continues at the revamped Shiva Ranganathan Kovil.
Felixton Shiva Ranganathan Kovil was built by Felixton residents, the Hindu residents that worked at the Felixton sugar mill, and they lived in the so-called Felixton Indian village that is across the road. The Hindu residents built the temple from bricks that were collected from old demolished buildings in and around Felixton. Unfortunately, we do not have any documentation or evidence on the actual age of the temple. However, the temple officials formed part of the 1860 Legacy Foundation in Felixton in 2010. And one of the main activities was to root out the rich history of the structures in Felixton, one of them being the temple. The temple was a much smaller structure in the initial stages. We do believe, although much of the history about the stones being unknown, but stones were picked up and molded from the riverbanks, etc., to actually represent the murtis. From much of the interaction with the former Felixton residents, the elders, that possibly it was due to representation of the murtis in the very old days, like has been done in most of the temples. The presiding deity currently is Shiva. We also are in the process of expanding and finalizing the main murtis of the temple, which is the Ganesha, the Shiva, the Muruga, as well as the Ranganathan, as the name of the temple implies. The Mariamman temple is a structure that is across the road that has been used for several years, where the prayer was performed annually, and the temple relocated to the main temple premises in 2014. We also engage the youth so that they play a lead role in by providing the instrumentation for the services and the major prayers. They form a huge role when it comes to all of our prayers that are being observed in the temple, as well as with the Seva initiatives.
Rather than watching the elders of the temple preparing and participating in the prayer, we do it as a whole temple society, which brings us as a temple closer. Which makes us youth more comfortable to ask them questions such as, why is this happening, how do we do this, which then again educates us and preserves the culture. We are people that are not forced to be part of the youth group. We want to be part of the youth group because of the warm hearts of our elders of the temple. If we know why we are doing something, us as youth, we will do it wholeheartedly, instead of just doing it for the sake of doing it or doing it because our parents said we must do it.
Some of our initiatives involve weekly services that are conducted at the temple, and this is where the hymns are sung from the Devarams, the Arutpa, the Tiruvasagam, as well as other devotional songs. And we use this as a platform to share the philosophies, the discourse, the various teachings from the various saints as well as our great gurus. We try to live out the teachings of our great gurus through selfless service, and one of them being Ramalinga Swamigal's principle on service to mankind is our path of moksha. So we render our seva to the community in various ways.
You know, some people think that our culture is very hard and that it's hard to do the prayers or to, they feel that it's very complicated. But if you know why you're doing it, and if you believe really truly in why you're doing it, and in the devotees and the deities, it's not complicated. We have our reasons, we know why we're doing it, and it's a beautiful culture.